Well, now, as we've been reporting this week, 16 Michigan Republicans went on to sign their names to fake elector documents, claiming that Trump was the rightful winner of Michigan's electoral votes, claiming that they were therefore the rightful electors and should be counted as such. They sent those documents to the National Archives, to the United States Senate, to be counted as part of Trump's electoral tally. This is the same weird Republican forgery scheme that was apparently being run in at least 5 states in what appears to have been a coordinated effort. It is now starting to catch the attention, apparently, of multiple investigations that are looking into the effort to overturn the election and the attack on January 6th. The person who's in charge of Michigan's elections is Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson. She and her staff have reportedly spoken to the January 6th investigation in Congress, including to provide information about the forged elector documents in her state. We know that from a public records request filed by the Detroit News. But we also know this, according to a spokesperson for the Attorney General's office in Michigan. This matter, the fake elector assertion, these forged documents from Michigan Republicans, this is, according to a spokeswoman for Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel, this is part of an ongoing investigation in the state of Michigan. Joining us now are both Jocelyn Benson, Secretary of State in Michigan, and Dana Nessel, who's Michigan's Attorney General. Secretary Benson, General Nessel, thank you both for being here. I really appreciate you both being here. I know it's a coup to have either one of you, but to have you both is a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Maybe not think about coups as much because kind of sensitive topic.
Well, Madam Attorney General, let me start with you. We have had questions since we started to realize the scope of this scheme as to whether or not it implicates any criminal acts, whether or not it's legal to forge an election-related document like this to assert yourself to be a public official, effectively, when you're not. Is this potentially a matter for criminal investigation?
Yeah, absolutely it is. And I will tell you that we've been evaluating charges for nearly a year now based on these activities as soon as we became aware of that. So I will say under state law, I think clearly you have forgery of a public record, which is a 14-year offense, and election law forgery, which is a 5-year offense. But what we have decided to do with the investigation in light of the fact that, of course, we have seen, as you've pointed out multiple times now, various different false slate of electors from 7 different states in what seems to be a coordinated effort between the Republican parties in various different states. We think this is a matter that is best investigated and potentially prosecuted by the feds. And as such, just today, we referred this matter to the Western District, the U.S. Attorney's Office, for them to evaluate it. And we hope that Maine Justice and the Department of Justice will become involved and use the information they already have to better understand exactly what happened that day so that federal charges can be evaluated.
So your office, Attorney General's office in Michigan, has referred this matter for potential prosecution to the federal prosecutor's office in Michigan as of today.
As of today, we've been evaluating what we were going to do with it, and we had thought that it was very possible that we would be bringing charges. And we still might. We still might. And of course, there's no double jeopardy if you were to bring both state and federal charges for the same offenses. But obviously, this is part of a much bigger conspiracy. And our hope is that the federal authorities and the Department of Justice and United States Attorney General Merrick Garland will take this in coordination with all the other information they've received and make an evaluation as to what charges these individuals might face. I mean, I can think of many: forgery of a public record for the purposes of defrauding the United States, or a conspiracy to commit an offense to defraud the United States, and there's so many others, but that will be up for the feds to decide.
And Attorney General Nessel, let me just ask you, as a legal matter, you've already referenced this in relation to the idea that this might best be prosecuted as a federal matter because it happened in multiple states. But if we are able to figure out, if the country is able to figure out who did this, I mean, this was a paint-by-numbers, fill-in-the-blank template that all of these Republicans used in at least five different states to do this. If we can figure out who distributed the template, who put them up to this, who told them how to do it, does that change anything about the potentially criminal nature or the seriousness of this?
I think it does. And I think that you're talking about a conspiracy really to overthrow the United States government. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about. So why I think it's so important to refer this to the federal authorities is because for a lot of these individuals, the irony, of course, is that many of those people that you saw outside the state capitol on December 14th that you showed footage of, they're the loudest who complained of election fraud. And yet here they have committed, ostensibly, the most significant case of election fraud ever in our state's history. But, you know, I think it's important that once those individuals see that they could possibly be facing prison time, I do think we're going to see some people flip, and we'll get some further information as to who orchestrated this in the first place, who told these people to do this in exactly this fashion. And I think it may go all the way to the top.